I was sitting at my desk reviewing blueprints for a commercial project downtown when my phone buzzed. Lauren. My wife never called during work hours unless it was important. I picked up expecting her to ask about dinner plans or remind me to grab milk on the way home. Instead, her voice came through shaky and cold. "How could you do this to us?" she said. I froze. My mind raced through every possible mistake I might have made. Forgotten anniversary, no. Missed appointment, no. Then she said it. "My sister is pregnant, and she says it is yours." Before I take you through what happened next, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear how this story ends. Trust me, you will not believe what the DNA test revealed. Now let me take you back to where it all started. Lauren and I met during our junior year at Portland State. We were both studying architecture, spending late nights in the studio, arguing over floor plans and load-bearing walls. She had this way of tilting her head when she was concentrating, pencil tucked behind her ear, that made my heart skip. We started dating 6 months after we met. 2 years later, I proposed on the same campus bench where we had our first real conversation. We got married the summer after graduation in a small ceremony at her parents' house in Lake Oswego. 8 years into our marriage, we had built something solid. A modest 2-story house in the suburbs with a backyard big enough for the dog we kept saying we would get. I worked as a structural engineer for a mid-sized firm specializing in green building. Lauren ran her own interior design business from a studio space she rented near Hawthorne. We were not rich, but we were comfortable. More importantly, we were happy. Or so I thought. We had not started a family yet. Lauren wanted to wait until her business was more established. I was fine with that. We had time. We talked about kids the way people talk about vacations they are planning someday. Vague but hopeful. Then there was Jessica, Lauren's younger sister. 4 years younger to be exact. Jessica was 27, worked part-time at a boutique downtown, and seemed to drift through life without much direction. She had just ended a messy relationship with a guy named Kyle. From what Lauren told me, Kyle was controlling and volatile. Jessica had finally worked up the courage to leave him 3 months ago. Since the breakup, Jessica had been staying with us on and off. A few days here, a week there. Lauren felt responsible for her younger sister. She always had. Growing up, Lauren had been the protector, the one who made sure Jessica did not get into too much trouble. I understood that bond, even if it sometimes felt like Jessica took advantage of it. I kept my distance from Jessica. Not out of dislike, just out of respect for boundaries. I would say hello when she showed up, ask how she was doing, offer to help carry her bags. But I never lingered. I never initiated long conversations. I made sure I was never alone with her for more than a minute or two. I thought I was doing the right thing. One Thursday morning, Lauren and I sat at the kitchen table, eating scrambled eggs and toast. Sunlight poured through the window, catching the steam rising from our coffee mugs. Lauren mentioned that Jessica would be coming over that evening. She needed a few days to clear her head, Lauren said. I nodded, though I felt a flicker of annoyance. Jessica had already stayed with us twice in the past month, but I did not say anything. I kissed Lauren goodbye, grabbed my keys, and headed to the office. That evening, I came home around 6:30. Jessica was already there, sitting on the couch with her legs tucked under her. Her eyes were red and puffy. Lauren was in the kitchen making tea. I said hello to Jessica, asked if she was okay. She nodded without looking at me. I went upstairs to change out of my work clothes, giving the two of them space. Dinner that night was awkward. Lauren tried to keep the conversation light, asking me about the project I was working on. I told her about the new office complex we were designing, how the client wanted floor-to-ceiling windows, but was worried about energy costs. Lauren asked good questions. She always did. Jessica barely touched her food. She kept glancing at me, then looking away quickly when I noticed. At one point, Jessica spoke up. "Chip, have you ever done something you regret? Something you cannot take back?" The question hung in the air like smoke. I set down my fork. "Everyone makes mistakes," I said carefully. but I try to live with integrity. Jessica nodded slowly, her eyes distant. Lauren changed the subject, but the mood had shifted. The rest of dinner passed in near silence. Jessica stayed for 4 days. During that time, I noticed odd behavior. She would appear in whatever room I was in, even if I had gone there specifically to be alone. One night, I went downstairs around 11 to get a glass of water. Jessica was standing in the kitchen, staring at the refrigerator. When she saw me, she did not move. "I need to tell you something," she said. Before I could respond, Lauren came down the stairs, asking what was going on. Jessica shook her head and walked away. I convinced myself Jessica was just going through a rough patch. Breakups mess people up. I had seen it before. I did not mention any of this to Lauren because I did not want to add to her worry. On Thursday morning, Jessica packed her things. She hugged Lauren tightly, tears streaming down her face. "I am sorry for everything," Jessica said. "I never wanted to hurt you." Lauren looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Jessica just shook her head. "Nothing. I just love you so much." I was standing at the bottom of the stairs watching this exchange. Something in my gut twisted. I could not shake the feeling that something was very wrong. 2 days later, I was in a meeting with a client when my phone started buzzing repeatedly. "Lauren." I excused myself and stepped into the hallway. "Hello." Her voice was broken raw. "How could you do this to us?" I felt my stomach drop. "What, Lauren? What are you talking about?" There was a pause. I could hear her breathing, uneven and shaky. "My sister is pregnant, and she says it is yours." The hallway seemed to tilt. I grabbed the wall to steady myself. "What, that is insane, Lauren. I never touched Jessica." My voice was louder than I intended. A coworker passing by gave me a concerned look. "She told me everything," Lauren said. "How you came to her room one night when I was asleep. How you begged her not to tell me." I felt like I was drowning. "Lauren, that never happened. I swear to God that never happened." She was crying now. "She is here right now. She showed me the pregnancy test. She said she did not want to ruin our marriage, but she cannot hide it anymore." I tried to speak, but she cut me off. "I cannot talk to you right now." The line went dead. I stood there for a full minute, phone still pressed to my ear. My mind raced. Jessica pregnant, claiming I was the father. It was impossible, completely impossible. I had never been inappropriate with her. Never. I left the office immediately, not bothering to explain to my client or my boss. I just grabbed my coat and ran to the parking lot. The drive home felt like it took hours, though it was only 20 minutes. I kept replaying every interaction I had ever had with Jessica, every conversation, every moment we had been in the same room. There was nothing that could be twisted into this accusation. And yet Lauren believed her. My wife of 8 years believed her sister over me without even asking my side. When I walked through the front door, Jessica was sitting on the couch. Lauren stood next to her, one hand on Jessica's shoulder. The moment Lauren saw me, her face hardened. It was a look I had never seen before, disgust mixed with heartbreak. Jessica kept her eyes on the floor. "Lauren, please listen to me," I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could manage. "This is not true." Lauren shook her head. "Jessica already told me everything. How you kept looking at her, how you said I did not understand you anymore." My hands clenched into fists at my sides. "I never said that, Lauren, you know me." Jessica started crying again, loud sobs that filled the room. "I am sorry," she wailed. "I am so sorry. I did not want this to happen." I turned to her. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "I cannot keep lying anymore. The baby deserves to know who their father is." I looked at Lauren, desperate. "You really believe her, after 8 years?" Lauren's voice was cold. "She has no reason to lie. She is my sister." I felt something inside me crack. "And I am your husband." She stepped closer to Jessica, as if shielding her from me. She showed me the pregnancy test. She is carrying a child. Why would she make this up? I wanted to scream. I do not know, but I swear on my life I never touched her. Jessica wiped her eyes and spoke again, her voice quieter now. It was 3 weeks ago, Thursday night. You came to the guest room around 2 in the morning. I tried to remember. 3 weeks ago, Thursday. I had woken up thirsty and gone downstairs for water, but I had not gone to the guest room. I had gone straight to the kitchen and back to bed. That is a lie, I said. I went to the kitchen, not your room. Jessica shook her head. You told me you loved me. You said Lauren had become distant. The accusation was so absurd, so detached from reality, that I almost laughed. This is insane. You are making all of this up. Lauren held up her hand. I need you to leave. Tonight. I stared at her, disbelieving. You are kicking me out of my own house. She would not look at me. I cannot look at you right now. I need time to think. Fine. If that was how she wanted to play it. I am getting a DNA test, I said, and when it proves I am not the father, you will owe me an apology. Lauren finally met my eyes. If you are so innocent, why do you look so guilty? That question broke something in me. Because my wife just chose her sister's lie over 8 years of loyalty. I went upstairs, threw some clothes into a duffel bag, and walked out. I did not look back. I stayed with my best friend Greg and his wife Allison. They had a guest room and did not ask too many questions. Greg had known me since college. We had been roommates for 2 years before I met Lauren. If anyone understood who I really was, it was him. Man, this is crazy. He said that first night, handing me a beer. I have known you for 15 years. You are not that guy. Allison nodded in agreement. Lauren will see the truth. Just give her time. But I was not sure time would fix this. The next few days were a blur. Lauren's mother, Patricia, called me, her voice sharp and accusing. I always knew you were no good for my daughter. She hung up before I could defend myself. Some of our mutual friends started acting strange. A few stopped responding to my texts. One co-worker pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay, saying he had heard something. The rumor mill was already churning. I contacted a lawyer, David Morrison. He had a reputation for handling family law with a clear head. I sat in his office and told him everything. He listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. You need a paternity test, he said. It is the only way to prove your innocence. I nodded. How do I force Jessica to take the test? Morrison tapped his pen against the desk. If she refuses, that is already suspicious. But legally, you can request it through the court. He paused. I also think you should start preparing divorce papers, just in case. The word divorce hit me like a punch. I had not let myself think that far ahead. But Morrison was right. If Lauren could believe this lie so easily, what did that say about our marriage? I started investigating on my own. Jessica claimed it happened 3 weeks ago, Thursday night, around 2 in the morning. I checked my phone records, my email, anything that could establish a timeline. Then I found it. An email I had sent to a client at 2:15 in the morning, sent from my laptop in our bedroom. It proved I was upstairs, not in the guest room. But when I told Lauren, she dismissed it. That does not prove anything. You could have sent it before or after. I wanted to reach through the phone and shake her. Why will you not believe me? Her voice was cold. Because Jessica is crying every night, she is scared and alone, and you are just trying to cover your tracks. I took a deep breath. I want a DNA test. There was a long pause. Fine, we will do the test. But until then, do not call me. 2 weeks passed. Jessica agreed to the test, but she kept delaying. She was not feeling well. The clinic cancelled her appointment. Every excuse felt like another twist of the knife. I knew she was stalling, but I could not prove it. Then Greg came through. He ran into Kyle, Jessica's ex, at a bar downtown. Kyle was drunk and bitter. He started talking about Jessica without prompting. She called me last month, Kyle said. Said she was pregnant and needed money for an abortion. But when I offered to help, she hung up on me. Greg recorded the conversation on his phone and sent it to me immediately. I drove to the house the next afternoon. Lauren was not home. Jessica answered the door, her face going pale when she saw me. "I know Kyle is the father," I said. She stepped back. "What?" I held up my phone. "He told my friend. You called him for money?" Jessica's hand started shaking. "That is not true." I took a step forward. "Then take the DNA test today, right now. I will drive you to the clinic." Her face crumpled. "I cannot do this anymore." She sank onto the couch sobbing. "I am so sorry. Kyle is the father, but he left me. I had no one." I felt a wave of anger so intense I had to clench my fist to keep from yelling. "So you decided to destroy my marriage?" She looked up at me, mascara running down her cheeks. Lauren has always had everything, the perfect husband, the perfect life. I just wanted her to feel my pain. I shook my head in disbelief. "You wanted to ruin her life because you are jealous?" Jessica wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I thought if she blamed you, she would turn to me. We would be close again, like when we were kids." I stared at her speechless. "You are insane." The front door opened. Lauren walked in holding grocery bags. She froze when she saw us. From the look on her face, I knew she had heard everything. "Lauren?" Jessica started standing up. "Get out." Lauren said, her voice low and shaking. "Get out of my house, now." Jessica reached for her. "Please, I am sorry, I did not mean to." Lauren's voice rose to a scream. "You tried to destroy my marriage, my husband, get out." Jessica grabbed her purse and ran out the door, still crying. The house fell silent. Lauren stood in the entryway, bag still in her hands. She looked at me and I saw the realization crashing over her. "I am so sorry," she whispered. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out two things. The first was a sheet of paper. A DNA test result. I had managed to get a sample of Jessica's hair from the guest bathroom and had it tested privately through a doctor Greg knew. The result was clear. Not a match. The second thing was a business card. David Morrison, attorney at law. "This is the DNA test proving I am not the father," I said, handing her both items. "And this is my lawyer's card. You will be hearing from him?" Lauren's face went white. "What, you are divorcing me?" I looked at her, this woman I had loved for a decade, and felt nothing but exhaustion. "You looked me in the eye and chose her lie. 8 years meant nothing to you." She dropped the grocery bags. "Please, Chip, I made a mistake. I was protecting my sister." I shook my head. And who was protecting me? I turned and walked toward the door. Lauren ran after me. "Chip, please do not leave like this." I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. You showed me that when things get hard, you will not stand by me. I cannot build a future on that." I walked out, got in my car, and drove away. I did not look back. The months after were hard. I moved into a small apartment downtown, a 1-bedroom with a view of the Willamette River. It was quiet, lonely, but also peaceful in a way I had not expected. I threw myself into work. The office complex project wrapped up successfully, and I was offered a lead position on a new sustainable housing development. My career was thriving even as my personal life crumbled. Lauren texted me every day for weeks. Long messages apologizing, begging for another chance. Patricia called too, her tone completely different now. "I was wrong about you," she said. "I am so sorry." I appreciated the apology, but it did not change anything. "Some things cannot be fixed, Patricia," I told her. "But I appreciate you saying that." The divorce was finalized 4 months later. I did not fight for the house or any of our shared assets beyond what was fair. I just wanted it to be over. Lauren signed the papers without contest. I heard through Greg that she cried the entire time. As for Jessica, she disappeared. Lauren told me in one of her texts that Jessica had moved to California and cut off contact with the family. "I do not think I will ever forgive her," Lauren wrote. I did not respond. Slowly, I started to rebuild. I joined a hiking group and spent weekends on trails around Mount Hood. I made new friends, people who did not know anything about my past. I learned to be alone without feeling lonely. I started therapy, working through the betrayal and the anger. My therapist told me something that stuck with me. You cannot control what people believe about you. You can only control how you respond. I chose to respond by moving forward. A year after everything fell apart, I found myself sitting on my apartment balcony, watching the sunset over the river. I thought about Lauren, about Jessica, about everything I had lost. And I realized I did not feel angry anymore. I felt free. I learned that trust is not just about believing someone, it is about standing by them when the world says otherwise. Lauren did not just believe a lie. She chose to believe I was capable of betrayal without giving me a chance to defend myself. And maybe that is the real lesson. When someone does not fight for you in your darkest moment, they are showing you exactly how much you mean to them. I do not hate Jessica. I pity her. She was so consumed by jealousy that she destroyed her own sister's marriage. And for what a few weeks of attention, she will have to live with that for the rest of her life. Lauren reached out last month. She wanted to meet for coffee. I said no, not because I am bitter, but because some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt. She taught me something valuable. I deserve someone who believes in me even when the evidence looks bad. I deserve someone who asks questions before passing judgment. I deserve loyalty that does not crumble the first time it is tested. If you are watching this and you have ever been falsely accused, know this. The truth always comes out. It might take time. It might cost you everything. But your integrity is worth more than anyone's doubt. And if you are the person who has ever chosen to believe a lie over someone you love, ask yourself this. What does that say about you? I walked away from that marriage with nothing but my dignity. And honestly, that was more than enough. Sometimes the best revenge is simply refusing to let their betrayal define you. So tell me, have you ever been wrongly accused of something? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for listening, and remember, your truth is your power. Stay strong out there.